The views and opinions of the bunker are that of those individuals taking part, and are by no means a reflection of the University Gallery, Gallery North, and sometimes the individuals themselves.
Wicked cool.
Cool.
Good afternoon.
Aha!
Have you got a joke to start us off? You started off on the first one.
There was one that I got sent the other day. Oh shit!
I've got a knock joke.
Yeah, let me
Go on,
see.
Ed.
Okay.
Hit us
Oh,
off.
actually no.
Oh, we haven't introduced
No.
ourselves.
You start the knock joke first. Yeah. Go.
Knock.
Who's there?
Wait, who's doing the joke?
You.
Knock.
Who's there?
I don't like languages.
That's the joke. That you fell for the fact that you have to start the knock joke.
I'm a joke.
You are. But yeah, introduce yourself, joke.
I thought we were friends, guys. Okay, so let's introduce ourselves. We are the Bunker. Hello and welcome to the Bunker. Let's go around the table. I'm Sophie.
I'm Olivia.
I'm Ed.
I'm Katie.
Charlie.
And yeah, we formed the Bunker, and today we're going to have a discussion about putting your work out there.
Yes.
I'm excited.
That's just what it's called.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And this is our fourth chat.
Fourth chat.
Fourth
Fifth
Bunker
chat.
broadcast.
How many have we done so
Four.
far?
We don't have any
Can't find the
guests
joke.
today, but
It's just us.
Just us.
hopefully
Just the
people
original
will come and
play.
turn in.
Well, yeah, if you are listening in and you fancy coming down to Gallery North, you are
Interjecting.
very welcome.
Send
I
us a
think people are
question.
getting bored of us now, so they're just like, no, turn it up.
No one's getting bored of us. We've still got listeners.
Thank you, Ria.
Yeah.
And Robin.
So, I think what it might be really good if we started off with, if we're thinking about putting your work out there, is actually trying to break down what that statement means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Acid.
Katie, you look like there's something on the tip of your tongue.
Ooh,
Like
she's-
praised.
You look, well,
She's got a
you are
burning
definitely
thing to
praised.
say.
I feel like I took it as two separate things, so in my notes I wrote about
What, putting and there?
Ha
Go.
ha ha
The
ha.
daggers are
In
being
case you
stared
didn't know,
right at.
Ed's really funny.
Yeah.
no, like as
Ed
in
thinks he's really funny, so that's a correction.
oh my god.
Sorry, carry on,
I cannot
carry
get
on,
a
carry
word in. But, putting your work out there is like installing work and also like sharing your work, like
Yeah.
advertising.
So it
Like-
made you think of those two different things.
Yeah, it's
So what do you mean by installing your work? Putting your work out there as in
because like you
physically?
can have work in the studio and then it can be the way you install it. I still think it's putting your work out there.
Yeah.
But then you can also have an exhibition and then putting your work out there can be advertising that exhibition and or like how it exists online or
Yeah.
Networking yourself amongst the people as well.
yeah.
Do you wanna
Because you
talk
put
about your own
yourself out there, don't you,
experience?
rather than the work.
I knew this was
Yeah, do you want to
With
talk
the
about your own
online.
experience of putting your work out there in the first sense of an
Install.
exhibition? And,
I think the bunk thing itself is like probably a good explanation of
Yeah, I was
us
thinking
trying to
about
get
that.
around it.
yeah.
the posters for this A Seat at the Table exhibition. Were they
Mhm.
put around the uni or were they just sent as an email?
I think
Because I didn't see any around the uni and I only got the email.
it
I think it
exists
was, yeah.
digitally as a poster.
Yeah.
And that's one of the one of the main topics that I really wanted to think about as well was kind of how the way that we put our work out there or
Is
publicise
changing.
it is changing
Yeah.
because of digitals. Yeah, so like you said, like there was a poster, but the poster was never actually, to
Yeah.
our knowledge, physically
Yeah.
printed.
And I was thinking that was like what we were talking about before about how the art world like stays within its own little world because it's the same like it only stays within like the same mailing lists or the
Yeah.
same people get the same information all the time and it never breaks out like that. And like so that's how I don't think it's really that good to have it only exist as like a virtual like
So you think it should be like a blanket canvassed, like kind of
I think it's
around
good to have
areas and
both,
stuff?
but because like one, like, because I was thinking about does the internet like make it reach more people or less people because only the people who are interested in the thing are gonna like search for it on the internet or like follow the pages or like I don't know, follow the people.
Yeah.
Whereas if something's physical, you can't avoid it. It's like what's it called like intervention. when you put
Yeah.
stuff and
Like
Yeah.
feeling it as
yeah,
well.
like, and then it reaches people it wouldn't usually reach.
But yes and no to that, because you can still avoid things that are actually there. You just
Yeah.
take a poster down, or you turn around. I've put posters up that people...
Yeah, the mist, but the
no,
same
but
way
I've
as.
put ones up that people have written on, and I've done
Yeah.
that to other people's and been like...
That other people have
"What does
written
this
on."
But
mean?"
that's good because that's more like of an like engaging with something than
Yeah, I
just
suppose
like
that's
seeing it on
interactive.
a news feed and like.
Yeah.
Georgia and I put a poster up, and it got got written on saying, "This is a crap menu," because it was just a list of things that like a project space could be,
Eggs.
and yeah, just eggs. No, it was like all these things, and then someone had written on it, just saying, "This is a crap menu." I thought it was really funny.
That is really funny.
But then do you
Whoever
not
did
think?
that, come forward.
Yeah, I think.
Ed's going to give you £100 as a thank you.
No,
But that takes so much more effort to like get a pen out and write on it than just to like it on like.
but that's engaging.
I feel like-
When you see someone's like commented on your
Yeah, which I like that.
physical thing, yeah,
Yeah,
Which
that's
is-
maybe not graffiti, but
I don't know. Oh, that's a strong opinion.
Yeah.
on your piece. No, not graffiti as in as a art practice, as in graffiti as a graffitiing on someone's work,
What do you mean
rather
by
than
that?
covering it up. Like a comment on it would be,
Get
I think would be.
definition.
Could you expand on that, please, Ed? Because I'm not sure if I understand.
Yeah, so like if the whole "this is a crap menu," that's funny, that's
Mhm.
commenting on my thing. But if it's graffiti where it's just a smiley
But
face, or
defacing
something,
it.
defacing it, yeah, that's
Yeah, but
something
it-
different.
But why? That's so subjective.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, whether it's
'Cause some people
or
would
it's
think-
cute. Like, I might be
Cute.
like, oh, they drew me a smiley face, like they like.
Oh no,
my
I just said
photo.
smiley face, as in like
No,
I
but
didn't
like,
mean that.
even
but-
if someone scribbles and they scribble all over it, like, I don't know, that's really subjective. Like, that is the kind of their engagement with it. Maybe they're
Mm.
saying, I don't like what you've done.
Mm.
But it's still fair.
And that's still just as valid, isn't it?
Mm.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know actually because I don't know. What if somebody's artwork is the posters and then it's like.
Shuck.
What is like that thing where
The
that guy
artwork
went
is
into
precious and shouldn't be touched.
Well, I think some people think of it like that. I don't know.
Yeah, but then they probably wouldn't just put it up as a poster if you're really precious and you think you have a very traditional idea of what is art and whether art can be touched and stuff. You're probably going to be showing it in a white cube, maybe in a vitrine,
Yeah.
a vitrine.
I think that's.
like the glass boxes.
Oh, okay.
That's not what they're called.
Vitrine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
heard that word.
I haven't
before.
I've told
I
you
learned that
that,
word from
Olivia.
Ed.
We've had this discussion because I said
Ed's
thing
vitrine
is Ed's
in the
vitrine.
annex,
Yeah.
which you have
Did
been
you say
in.
vitrine?
Yeah, I just thought
Because
you
I
said
said
latrine
box.
at first, like.
I mean, I probably
A
said
latrine.
box as
Like
well
a
as.
toilet.
That's a toilet, isn't
I
it?
know, I was like,
Latrine.
Why have you set up a toilet in the corridor, Ed? That's so disgusting.
Hey, it's open for everyone
Yeah.
to use.
If you don't like doing it in private, you can do it in
Make sure
public.
you run the shower while you.
Well, I
Yeah.
suppose okay. If we're onto the vitrine,
And flush.
Yeah,
Don't forget to flush.
putting your work out there, there's a little vitrine in the Squires Annex, which is a building that most of the second and third years use as for studios, and that's kind of like a project that you can show your work
Yeah.
in a more condensed micro sort of space, and I think putting
Yeah.
your work in there to show other people. Do you think
Yeah,
that
people-
works as a poster for your practice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if
A
you've got-
poster in a weird sense.
Yeah, and in a different way to an actual like paper poster. People
Expanded
probably
field.
wouldn't-
Expanded
People
posters.
probably would not scribble on your work that was under the
No, but
Perspex box.
But Charlie, I noticed today, Charlie went like this with his, went like this, I'm just talking on the radio, but.
Oh, did you click? Did you
I
click?
clicked that you were going to put your coffee on top of it and kind of like hovered and then went, oh, no, and off. And then I've realised that there's a painting there that keeps on cropping up around it.
Yeah. It keeps
Of-
getting moved.
Of one of
On
our
top
tutors,
on
Alan.
top of it the other
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. So it's just like
Yeah.
that kind of, that's a, not, is it a defacement or is it just a change?
I think it's an interaction.
Yeah.
It's an interesting interaction.
Yeah.
But
It did-
yeah, the Perspex box I take as kind of like a signal to not maybe
Yeah.
touch.
It got me. Did get me thinking. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
that
you
was
go,
no,
go.
carry on.
No, I'm done.
That,
All I was going to say is, whereas when the box wasn't there, when you showed your spoons, because then you knew you could touch because the box wasn't there.
Olivia wasn't
Well,
gonna remove
yeah.
the
But
box until.
I wouldn't have taken the box lid off myself and been like, oh, let me touch Olivia's work.
Yeah.
Well, it was good. I had a conversation actually with Adam about this, and it was about the fact that because I'm saying that I've got bored of it, like this kind of idea of the every week or something to say. So because no one is changing it up. I know you were the first one. You were testing it, yeah, by saying. I think the first one was Ian testing it, saying I want to put a zine in there, but no one can touch it.
Yeah.
And then you changed it with saying take the box away, and
Which was
Katie's idea.
No, it wasn't. Kate, can you stop trying to take ownership of my
It's
work?
never gonna happen.
Yeah.
and then Katie and I are in a conversation again to change it up again.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited for that.
yeah.
Ooh,
But
well,
we're-
the sound.
Well, we're not going to say because
Oh,
it's
okay.
It's gonna be a
so yeah,
surprise.
so this was another thing. Like it's like just change it up. And I know
it's
you
going
wanted
to
to
be a
put
surprise.
some writing.
It's on Ronan.
Oh, no,
God.
you put some writing in the 2D vitrine upstairs, which was changing it because it wasn't essentially people had seen it as a place to put prints, a place to put fictitious writing, but you put a list in,
Listen to poem.
like a shopping list of poems.
Yeah. I still want to put some writing in that box though, because I like, it's kind of like I like the idea of it like the preserve.
Oh, I suppose actually, okay. I say I'm getting bored of it, but a lot of
It just keeps
people,
changing.
a lot of people have changed it up because I know Vanessa's was one where she did a
The green.
what's it?
Lots of objects.
Ensemble.
Ensemble, and it was more like how much can you fit into the box?
Yeah.
But it's in a weird sense that you have to put it on from the top.
Yeah, it must have been hard to get that all falling out.
I didn't even see it, so I don't know
Mind
how
blown.
she did it.
It just did the mind blown.
Yeah. So putting your work out there is that there are these little projects that you can set up around
Yeah.
places, I guess.
Yeah.
Like how.
I set up like a shitty fake gallery. Sorry for the swear word, in my studio space.
Oh yeah.
But
I've
have you
not-
advertised it?
I've not advertised or anything, but I just put it up there, take photos of my work in the space, and then that's it. Or someone else's work, or whatever. So in effect.
But is that putting your work out there if you're using your studio space? I know what you mean. There's a difference between like making it on your desk or whatever, and then like if you're doing a painting and you put it on the wall, and then that's like.
But what's there? I think that's what I'm interested in. What does there mean? Because then you're because I think my interpretation of the title was slightly different to yours from what you kind of said. Because I was more thinking, to me, I'm just thinking making it public. And that could be in any sense. That doesn't have to be available to the general public, the wider public. The public could be your peers. So you actually go and you actually show people your work rather than just keeping it private. But
just put that on display then would be.
That was just my interpretation of the question. I think it's interesting how we've already like interpreted the. It's not even a question.
I guess I think of it as like a finished putting it out there like when you're maybe not finished but you're at a point where you're confident enough to show it even if it's still like
That's why I think Instagram as like a way of putting your work out there is
It's
more
a good way of putting your work because you can
more informal way, and you can track it as you go. And I think it's also a really good reminder for yourself, just as a self-reflection of like, oh God, I was doing that last week, and now it's come to this, and that's more of a putting your work out there for you.
Yeah. Well, I like using Instagram to see other people's work.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of, and then if you see snippets, because you don't see fully things, but you see little snippets and you think that's interesting, then you might go and research that person
but
in
then
a bit more depth.
Then that's that thing about it's always the same people who see the same people's work. Like you follow, like the is it the Overload like Instagram, and everyone's talking about it, but like has that gone any further than
The
like,
what Instagram?
this course? Overload? Is that
Oh,
what?
Overlord.
Well, I wouldn't know, but you know, I've
You wouldn't know.
Oh yeah, well you don't have Instagram.
I don't.
So how do you feel about us talking about Instagram in the sense that it's a really good way of kind of getting our work out there? But
I do think it is, but I don't know.
You just don't want to subscribe to it.
But you don't have to have a personal presence to have an Instagram presence.
Yeah, no, I know.
Because you feature all over Sophie's Instagram.
I told her that yesterday.
But
I was like, you're literally heavily featured on my Instagram.
I didn't know that.
Is that ethically questionable that I haven't asked Katie's permission? Well, to be honest, I don't know if you're in that many posts.
We have
Let's have a
because the
look.
bunker has a presence on Instagram, but we're not. It's not one personal presence.
I've just posted on the Instagram
Oh.
if people want to see that one. So
Oh, is it a good pick?
just a Charlie.
Everyone's gone to check
Just-
it, and I'm
yeah.
just sat here.
Well, it's
do-
interesting.
but see, I think it is quite. I know what you mean. It's like an echo chamber in some ways because you only see the people you
Yeah.
follow and they see you.
No, I know. I see the value in it.
But
I
but
just
echo chamber.
Echo chamber. That's kind of because that's like a phrase that got used a lot with in relation to like politics as
Yeah.
well. So like
I love that.
your news feed or your perception of what general views on a subject are can be really inaccurate because often we exist in our own echo chambers. So if you consider yourself really left wing, you tend to also spend a lot of time with other people who are, you have those conversations with other people who are. So it's like that kind of thing that can often lead, so for example like the referendum, it's because sometimes we exist in an echo chamber that we're then so shocked by the outcome
Yeah.
of something because we forget that our
experiences.
the way we receive our news has kind of been like through algorithms tailored and through who we happen to be friends with, and but it is through algorithms. Like if you always click on someone who shares something that you're interested in, like you're only going to see the news that aligns with your views.
Yeah, you perpetuate your own ideas, don't you? Beyond whether it is actually true or not. It's like religion to a degree. Like if they spend a lot of time around people that believe the same thing as them, they just bounce off each other and deepen their belief in their views. And it's like, and then it goes to like referencing. You just find people to reference people that proves your theory, and the more you do that, the deep.
And nobody really challenges.
Yeah.
The more people that you have behind you, the nobody challenges it. Whether in reality, like, it should be challenged.
Yeah.
Like, people have this conception that like the amount of people that believe something must mean that it's true, rather than like.
Yeah. Well, but also your view on how many people believe something can be skewed. So like, if I looked at my news feed, I'd be like, oh, like, Jeremy Corbyn was definitely going to win the general election and the UK would have never voted to leave. But obviously my feed was skewed and it kind of acted as an echo chamber for other people who were like, had a similar stance to me.
Echo chamber, like that.
Thinking
Good
about
phrase.
like
I did not
work,
make it
though.
up.
You know, like some people who like put like almost like too much of the work online, like not online, but like so say they're like updating you through their like process of making like on Instagram, and then it's kind of like underwhelming when you see the work because
You've already seen
But then,
it.
like-
then that's a question over what's more important, process or outcome.
I feel like it's different for the person making to the person viewing the
Definitely.
work.
It can
Like
be
if you
so
don't have an
interesting
attachment to it.
have an insight into the artist's process of making. You know,
Yeah, no, I know what you
Catherine
mean.
Elkin's show in here
Yeah.
was so interesting because there was so much about how she'd gone
Yeah.
about making that exhibition.
And the
But
fact that
then
it
that
wasn't
was-
finished.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
so like
But was that not evident
Was it
in
interim?
the?
that was evident in the work.
Which was what was good about it. Like if she did, I don't know how.
I suppose
I
if
don't
we
know how
if we
to
kind of like
explain it.
having this conversation around Instagram,
Yeah.
having a separate Instagram for your art and a separate Instagram for your life, in a sense, where would you put the process
Yeah.
of your artwork? So I'm in the studio today, just having a bit of fun. Just going to take a picture of my
having a bit of fun.
bit of fun. Do you guys not have fun in your studio?
No, never.
And like so, it's
Sit
like
there
so
and
Liv,
cry.
With very serious thinking
Liv,
and working.
Liv
going
and
on in
Sophie, you
studios.
both have two.
Two art.
Yeah, but
Instagrams.
Sophie's Instagram is, I would say,
Well,
part of our work. Like,
But I've actually confused myself about it, if I'm honest.
yeah.
I've been wondering about it.
I feel like
Whether there is
your
an
work
actual living.
exists as an Instagram.
Well,
account.
I made a separate Instagram so that it was a
Separate.
character.
Yeah.
Because my personal Instagram is private.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I just found it weird people liking so I'd like posted a picture of myself with my granddad when he died, and then like someone I didn't know was like liking it. I just found that really weird, so I made it private. And then I was like, oh, but you know, what's the point in having a private art Instagram?
Yeah.
But then I made it to be a character, but now I've decided that maybe I would have more characters as part of my practice, so maybe it's a problem that it's in that character's name.
Is there
Yeah.
so is there kind of like an unprofessionalism or professionalism? Kind of like so Liv, you've got the separate art page. Do you see that as a professional way to kind of, if you were asked for an Instagram account by a gallery, would you go, yeah, here's my name, you can search for my other account, but here's the art
Yeah,
account.
that's
You
how-
you wouldn't be like selling your as a person. You wouldn't not selling, not like kind of
Yeah.
like kind of just owning up
I
to the fact
do-
that
yeah.
my practice is me. Like I'm making art, I'm doing this. I'm
Yeah,
free.
I think it's quite a hard thing for. Well, I don't know. I think some people would argue that it's like, well, that's you. That's your that should be your enjoyment all the time. But like, I kind of see it as like I do kind of have a different life outside of, and like outside of uni, and have different friends, and a part of, I think probably the fact that I have 2 accounts is my way of dealing with that.
Like separation, does it help
Yeah.
you to frame it more as kind of like the thing that you love, but that is
On-
either your like
Yeah.
academic or your like working life?
Yeah, that's
Rather
how it
than your-
feels. Because I think my personal one dates back to like quite a while ago when I first kind of got Instagram, and I wouldn't necessarily put my artwork on it because of the reason you would say, because that's more of like my professional like side. So that would be for like people that I wouldn't necessarily add to my everyday account.
So is your non-art account a private one?
Yeah, it is. Both of them are, to be fair, because I just don't really like. I like to
So
be
then is
aware
that more
of.
for you than like putting it out there? Like if it's private,
Yeah.
is it
Yeah,
more
because
just
I
for your
want
own?
one more for do you think
Document-
you're using it for documentation and archiving, or for putting your work out, or a combination?
I think it's a combination.
Yeah.
It's being able to see other people's work, but also documenting for myself. Because I don't really agree generally with having open accounts for like Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. Because I think, you know,
Privacy, yeah.
yeah, privacy is
Yeah.
important. It's really important.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think we all have like such different opinions on that as
Mm.
well. So like Ed and Charlie, you both just have one
Yeah.
Instagram, don't you?
Yeah.
And they're both, are they public, both of you?
Yeah.
I turned mine. Mine was private, and then I turned it public.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm public because like, I just view it as it's Instagram. Like it's just if I didn't want the Instagram, I'd just get rid of it. Like, and I don't have this. Like I can't. For me, Instagram was always kind of like something where it's like I want people to see the things I do, rather than like this take a photo of something I'm doing in my life, and this having these 2 separate ones. It was more of like I always viewed it as promotion of the self. So it was kind of like, how can I show people the stuff I do?
But that's interesting when because you've talked a lot about kind of the death of the author idea and wanting your work not to be seen by tutors as they said, you know, this is just this because you made it.
Yeah.
So, because I think in a way, having one Instagram, you're kind of giving people more information about yourself. So is that not giving more authorship to your artwork? And
People
Yeah.
don't find my Instagram's not named as Charlie, like not named after my name. It's
yeah,
like
trying to tag you and stuff is
it's
a nightmare.
It's the letter.
it always comes up though. I type Charlie Dibbleby and it
It's-
comes up.
It's the letters of. It's literally just CRDM,
Yeah.
like underscores, and I kind of do that in a way to avoid because like the online presence probably without thinking would be like, that's kind of my Instagram alias, as you were. I don't like to be Charlie on
Yeah.
Instagram because like for me Instagram's about my artwork. It's a place where I can like collect it, like put everything in a box and keep it there in like a virtual space.
In a three pictures across grid. Like
Yeah.
this is my venting space.
Yeah.
So do you not put on? I'm just having a quick look at Charlie's Instagram actually.
You're
Do you
welcome
do-
to have a look as well
I
at
do
the same
put,
Well,
like-
time.
look at everyone's.
I do put personal things on
Yeah.
there.
I'm just interested. I don't know what the answer is about that. It's just being kind of
Yeah.
devil's advocate about how.
Sometimes I do like
Like you
I
have
put-
quite few pictures of Mia and like you and Mia.
I put stuff on there that's like
I thought you said me.
in my personal
You and
life.
me, yeah.
But I spent a lot of time not wanting to do that.
Mm.
And I did literally just like stuff I see, photographs I take
Yeah.
with on my phone, like work I make. videos I do, like, and I kind of like that. But then every now and again I'll put something on, and it does irritate me if it upsets the flow of like, because I always make sure it's tries to be like 3 pictures that marry up together. It's constantly like that. But then there's a
You
picture.
try that?
I try to do it, yeah.
Yeah, you seem to. You're just looking through it.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at Ed's now. Ed's is like. Do you?
I did
It
notice.
seems mainly like. What do you do, Ed? Is it mainly art or personal life?
Yeah, how do you
It's a
feel
bit of
about
a-
this?
Well, actually,
I can't really understand. You've got some
Cornucopia.
roach stuff on here.
yeah, that's
Grommet.
I just put anything like.
well. Grommet is a project that I'm doing, which is called Express Through Grommet, and it's just literally a picture of. Because I grew up with Wallace and Gromit, and I
Yeah,
thought
same.
the silent characters that can express so much emotion.
Love Wallace
I
and Gromit.
Through just-
identify with.
Yeah, just through an eyebrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's a little project.
Wallace and Gromit was something my ex-boyfriend really liked.
Oh.
Less keen on Wallace and Gromit. Carry on, Ed.
Yeah, so it actually means something quite personal to me. So, so that's the project. So that's whenever I feel like I've just got to get something out, you just express through Grommet and look through Google Images and find a picture.
Yeah. So that's kind of putting your. It's an art project that's related to yourself.
Yeah, and I think I use hashtags quite a lot through my Instagram to kind of connect to certain things. So
Yeah.
I know I did a project around sort of artwork that I made within the studio and using a hashtag that you create, and then if people carried on with it. So I think the first one was Numbria Art, which was Northumbria.
Didn't know it was you.
Did you
No,
use that?
I used it once.
Yeah. So that
I
actually.
kept seeing it and I was like, yes.
So it was the fact that we could all come together under a hashtag. But it would then I started it so I could click on it and see my work in one place.
I feel so separate. in this
I guess so.
Sorry,
Okay.
Matto. Katie.
Pet Instagram.
And
Katie.
then once I realised people were using it, I decided to make another one. And then when I realised people were starting to use that one, I used another one. And the fact that people were still using the first one and the second one and the third one, it was just an interesting way of people following you down a rabbit hole through Instagram and like projects. And then but then you kind of, if you click on the first one, you can see about sort of 6 or 7 people from my year group's artwork all in one place, and it's just interesting to see. And now you can follow hashtags on Instagram. I don't know if that was a new thing or, but it's only just come up.
Yeah.
So you can follow that as a feed.
That's quite interesting.
So it's the fact that then you can follow a year group if they all use the hashtag.
Yeah.
That's a really nice idea though, because that's putting yourself in the context of everyone else, which is quite hard if you're working alone or you're isolated in your practice, to be able to be like, well,
I'm part of.
I'm part of a wider like kind of Instagram exhibition.
And I think that's
Which is
different
really,
to what with how you go about your private Instagram. If you hashtag stuff, not necessarily going out and kind of go, guys, look at my work.
Yeah.
If you hashtagged it and said, well, actually, there's 40 odd people also hashtagging this that are going to be looking at their hashtags for that, and they'd see your work with it. So it's kind of putting your work out there, but not necessarily doing it yourself. What have you just done?
Food's on my scarf and I don't know where it's coming from.
Ew.
maybe it's not
I think it might
food.
be from my salad because it smells of like chili.
But
Side note.
Side note.
well, it's interesting.
Don't
though,
eat
like,
chili
to
with scarves
try and
on.
bring Katie back into the conversation out of the world of Instagram.
Yeah.
There's
Instagram.
I think we could kind of go around. There's this website that I found, and it's 16 things you can do today to get your artwork noticed. And I thought if we can go through these kind of things and just talk about what we think about these
that
points.
sounds
So what do you
interesting.
think about starting writing your own blog
I've thought about
I like
it a
that.
few times.
to
Prefer
get your
that
work
to-
out there? So each
Yeah.
one of these things is
Well,
to get your
was
work.
it Iris Priest who was telling us a lot about her blog? She did a Kaggle right at the beginning of the year in September,
Yes.
and she was talking a lot about her blog.
Blog? What's a blog?
Her
We
blog.
need to think of a definition for blog.
Dictionary code.
I'm so lost from my point.
Iris was talking about a blog.
Yeah.
Was she
Cool.
saying that it was her art?
I mean, we were all
her
there, so we should all
artwork?
remember.
Yeah.
It was in September. Basically, I just thought her idea was really interesting. She kind of writes in the morning and evening, doesn't she? And she just
Yeah.
sort
Was
of-
that like part of?
her practice?
part of
in a
her
way? It
practice is
become
like a
big part of her practice.
Yeah.
I've thought about it as well, and I've thought about like the fact that you don't have to make it public. You can just use it as like a notebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that in WordPress?
Yeah.
Is that or Google Docs?
Yeah,
So you can do like
yeah.
you can actively just share it and
Yeah.
scribble. Go on.
Sorry, I was just gonna say like my only like problem personally with that is that you do get mind block. You have days where you're like, I really don't want to do this, and that's fine to not write in your notebook.
Yeah.
Whereas if you kind of have a blog,
But do you not think
Well-
that's the same as Instagram if you like
Yeah,
post
if you
all
don't
the
want to do
time
anything,
and
you
then
don't have to do it.
It
Yeah.
probably depends as well on your following.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
How
the
many?
thing.
Because I don't feel pressure to post on my Instagram.
Yeah, me neither.
I literally didn't post anything for like 6 weeks.
And that's fine.
But,
And no
but
one,
actually,
yeah.
maybe if you had a really established Instagram following,
Yeah.
you would feel that
Yeah.
pressure.
I'm mainly thinking about those YouTubers I watch that, you know, they'll say like, you know, I'm
New
gonna,
video every Thursday.
Yeah, new
Yeah.
video
It's like
every Thursday.
shit. I have to come up with content.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of idea that like, oh God, I've got to come up with something completely, you know, I've got a responsibility to my like following to do something exciting and
For
interesting.
you then, Liv, would you think that would only work if it had no hard and fast rules and you were doing it more for yourself than for other,
Yeah, that's the way that I would only.
like a digital notebook rather
Yeah.
than a blog?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I guess is probably the way that we would use it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
I
us
think
having a,
I think with it, not the argument to that, but it
Yeah.
says here underneath it says that artists often tell or say that they don't need a blog and they don't have anything to write about. But if you're constantly creating new art, then you have plenty to write about. So if you use the blog as sitting alongside your practice.
Yeah.
That if you are going to practice as an artist or practice as anything,
yeah,
you're going to hopefully
have enough.
keep
to
creating
say.
outward.
Yeah.
And if you can't get into the studio every week, you do the blog every 2 weeks. Or
Yeah.
it's kind of like it shouldn't be. Yeah, it's more free, open, not less regimented.
Yeah.
Realistically,
Realistically, we probably all could have enough to talk about. Like, it's probably would be a really nice way of having a notebook, but digital.
Yeah. Well, I guess like with Charlie, what you were kind of saying earlier about that idea you were talking to Alan about, like the problems of making art and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you could even, it doesn't have to just be look what work I've made. You could be like, I feel really stuck, and you could write about that.
Mm.
And it can kind of be your own way of reflecting and working out your thoughts.
The murkiness of it.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's this assumption. I've been thinking about that a lot anyway. There's an assumption that you have to make art to be a part of the art, the thing, the wider conversation of art.
The wider conversation is, oh my god, that's a phrase that exists.
The wider conversation only exists.
That should have been in the documentary. Because
Yeah.
that
That phrase, I've never understand. I'm never going to understand it. This
the
wide-
expanded
It is-
field of conversation.
Yeah, the wider
field of learning.
the wider conversation. Everything you do is a conversation.
So
It's something.
dialogical.
Yeah, dialogical
Such a dialogue.
expertise.
I like the word diagrammatic. I don't know why that just came into my head. Yeah, so if that's what we're talking about. The second point here is to create a Facebook page for your art.
Yeah.
And we touched upon this with the
I know
Instagram
a-
separates, the
Like a-
divide. And
a painter who just like sells his work like through Facebook, and I feel like that's
sells his
difficult.
work through Facebook.
well, like advertisers to sell it. Well, actually, I know his daughter who runs the Facebook page because he's too old to know
right.
what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
So you met this person
Disclaimer, that
through.
was super ageist.
no, okay, yeah, no, not too old. He's well, I'm like left behind. I feel. So
I mean, because you're too old
yeah.
by that, but you're younger than me. But
All right, let's not get
believes that
started.
anyone
Yeah, okay.
can use technology.
But I don't think that Facebook's like the best way. I feel like it doesn't reach that many.
Yeah.
Because again, it's that thing of like suggested.
I feel like
You gotta
Facebook.
search for
It's,
thing.
sorry.
No, Karen.
I feel like Facebook. It's a lot of people that don't necessarily. Might be me generalizing. But I think Facebook hits a market of people that doesn't necessarily have an interest in what we would do. I think it's more commercialized people in the sense that they take photos of their food and like.
But we do it on
Does
Instagram.
anyone want to?
I'm using that as a stereotype.
Yeah.
Like that's obviously
Well,
we obviously do
just,
that.
I was just thinking Facebook's more commercialised than Instagram because you have like Facebook Marketplace now.
Yeah,
So,
that's the middle button, isn't it?
the fact
Still
that you
share it.
can buy and sell directly through Facebook maybe lends itself more to being a platform for commercial art rather than.
Does anyone here want to sell art?
Nah.
No.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
You
Always.
want to sell out? Well,
Well, I don't know what.
so yeah, so
I've never sold
because
anything.
with what Katie was
Or
saying
tried
about the
to.
person selling artwork, is it paintings? Did you say?
It's like, yeah.
So it's like we don't work in these fields.
It's, yeah.
I'd like to sell writing. I'd like to sell book. I like write books and sell them. But that
And
wouldn't necessarily
that
be,
wouldn't be through Facebook, would
that
it?
wouldn't necessarily
Yeah.
be a practice part of my. I wouldn't class that as
But
part of my
it could be
artistic practice.
digital, the way you put it out there, because you can
Yeah.
do self-publishing
'Cause-
ebooks, can't you?
Because I did think about that magazine thing we're going to be starting. Possibly. Rather than having it printed, just do it PDF email format, and then it cuts out cost.
Yeah, kind of links back to what Kate was saying as well earlier about things just being like emailed around. Because to be honest,
Yeah.
we all look at that anyway.
Yeah, it's a faster way, I think, of getting things about on the internet. Paper is dying out, man.
You
It
don't
rightly
lose
should,
it.
sure, because
Yeah,
it's killing the planet anyway.
yeah.
So I get all my receipts digital and everything.
The
Try
third point
to.
here is get DeviantArt profile. So I've not looked at this before, so I don't really.
I feel like this is
know what
more
these
for
points are.
This is more
Is
for,
it a?
My friend's got a DeviantArt.
I feel like this
it's less contemporary.
it's
what
Yeah,
it
yeah,
takes.
but
was
it's-
putting
it's-
your work out there commercially.
Yeah.
Illustrative.
But yeah,
That's
but
it, yeah.
it's quite interesting to kind of like think about this because we're not
I don't actually know what it is.
what.
A lot of
You never heard of
illustrators.
this?
A lot of
Well,
illustrators
I
use
think
it.
that's like an illustrative
Yeah.
Illustrative form. Yeah.
site where you can just put up your own stuff, but it
Yeah.
comes into more of like a Google Images
Mhm.
kind of search field.
Okay.
But it's quite interesting for us to look at this because we don't actually, we're not actually seeing ourselves as commercial artists, right?
No.
I wouldn't say.
But do we have? So we don't see ourselves as that currently. But does anyone have feelings strongly against selling work,
No.
or would you be open to selling your work?
The only reason I have feelings against it is because I never know what price to put on it. Because for me, it has no value. Like, I don't think I could never put a price in it. Like even when I used to do graphic commissions for people, I always struggled with the price because I enjoyed it. Like, so for me, it's like that's almost a gain, and like it's almost a value in itself. Like, I enjoyed making the work.
But also, I think in this field, you know, just because you enjoy what you do is a disadvantage.
Can be taken
Yeah.
advantage
You
of.
can be taken advantage of because you're expected to really
Yeah.
enjoy what you do.
So you should
People
do
feel
it
like,
for
oh,
free.
well, yeah, we won't pay you for that.
Yeah, it's like what you wrote on the wall in the Squires Annex. So you don't have to have an art job just to be an artist. You
Yeah.
can have a totally separate job, and then be able to enjoy your art. You don't have to just because you want to be an artist. You don't have to assume that you have to sell your art to make money. I think it's like you don't have to sell yourself. Like being practically conservative, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can just have a normal job and make work
I feel
because
like
you
it's
want
difficult
to.
to be an artist without having a normal job to support yourself.
Yeah.
In some sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Whatever.
we were
Yeah.
having a chat about this the other day.
Yeah.
Because we were saying, do you mind?
Do you remember this,
Do
Katie?
you remember? Because
Looking
we were
blankly.
saying, we were just having a
Bring
chat
things
about
to you.
what we were going to do after uni.
Yeah,
And Kate was like, well, I'm going to work for the T-Van, obviously.
obviously.
The dream.
The
Yeah,
absolute
but
dream.
we were just talking about how we probably wouldn't be able to survive without a normal job and then have to pursue art on the side. But also how much motivation that would take because you've got to really have a lot of drive.
To do what?
Carry on with it.
Carry with that.
You're probably going to be
Without-
working more than a 5-day week. really,
Exactly, without any
realistically,
money for it,
Because
really.
you're going to need to work, I don't
Yeah.
know, 4 or 5 days to support
Yeah.
yourself.
I'm doing a 6-day week now,
Yeah.
and that's like it is a lot of motivation to have to keep
Yeah.
up. With
And
it.
that's with a student loan coming in. Like,
Yeah.
we won't have that.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
difficult over summer. I had no time off over summer because
Yeah.
no student loan. I blew all that. So it was kind of like living on a paycheck, and it is hard, man. It is really hard.
And did
Where
you
you
make
going this
work over
summer
the
then,
summer?
Charlie?
I made nothing, and I've suffered from not making work over the summer because now I'm in a, like Alan said to me in my tutorial today, in a sticky patch. Because I don't think I've thought about work enough over the summer. I think it hindered me, and now I'm just ended up in a space where like a headspace where it's like it's critically assessing myself too much to the point where
Yeah.
It's difficult.
It's kind of
something.
like what Olivia was saying though, because like that took up so much of your energy, having to earn a living, that you didn't feel like you had enough energy or time to keep up your practice. So it can be super exhausting to
Yeah.
do to, you know, like I know some of the tutors here will work a like really long day here and then go to their studio, but then they also have to like keep up with their family life and
Mhm.
like any other like projects they have going on.
Yeah, it is.
So, and art is really draining. It's hard work. It's hard. In like it's it is though, because it demands quite a lot of your
Especially having
time.
to hang around with some of these.
Yeah, I mean, really hard.
It's emotionally draining.
It's
Yeah.
emotionally draining in the sense that you do have to spend a lot of time thinking,
Yeah.
and
Can
that
be physically. as
yeah,
well.
and to do a lot of stuff alongside that is quite difficult.
Yeah.
But
Because you can't switch off from it. Like,
you
not
can't.
like
You
a-
take it. That's
you
why
go
I
home
think
from a job.
you know it's nice to separate things.
Okay.
Have one and one.
Yeah. Well, we've all got the different ways we try and, you know, break up your time. And
Yeah.
That's obviously like something that's really important to you.
What's that?
Just separate.
Like,
Separate time.
separate your time.
Mhm.
Like, so she's got 2 Instagrams to clearly distinguish.
Well, that's it.
Sophie's got me to do this multiple
Oh, right.
times.
Well,
Just separate my art and my actual social life. There's a point here that it's like I don't agree with, just by the way that I've skipped quite a few because some of them just don't relate to us. There's like offer to write, or share the link, love, which is basically just sharing links. But there's this one I don't agree. Make your art easy to share.
also make your work.
That defeats
Or
me.
to
For me, that defeats the purpose of making artwork. It should be, for one, on a one level, I think it should be difficult for people to get, for a lot of people to get on board with. Like, it should be true to something that makes it hard for a lot of people for it to cross a lot of boundaries.
Yeah.
then there's this like going to an area of commissions. Is a commissioned piece of art, obviously a commissioned piece of artwork is an artwork.
Yeah.
But if you make it easy to share, so if we go back to the whole
Yeah.
where we're putting it and where we can share this, where you can share your skill, like your portfolio, to show that you can make stuff, and then to apply, get people to commission you.
Yeah.
It's just like, is it easy? I just don't.
It's a really tough one, and it's also you can't judge people for like we said wanting to make money from something that is going to be understood in a wider context.
Yeah.
Because you know, and also like why it's difficult because sometimes you do want to make art that is relatable and easy to understand.
I think the multi something I think multiverse or something. Multifaceted was the one I was thinking. I was like the multifaceted conversation. Is that right? Multifaceted conversation of art. So it's like and the multifaceted conversation of art should be shareable. However, the artworks within that conversation don't necessarily have to be talk about and be able for everyone to have that conversation because ultimately that conversation, the fact that it has so many avenues, relies on the fact that the art inside it doesn't make sense to everyone. That's what allows it to have conversations that doesn't have conversations, have so many different outputs. But if it's easily shareable, then surely one to kind of, I don't know if that's me, it's making me.
I'm not sure. I think that comes down to the idea of digital versus the physical. Because I think maybe things is really shareable, or we think about it as the levels well, digitally available. So like when galleries have photographs of works and in our website, that kind of
Well, that's it.
Sounds kind of funny, so we just kind of like going through with your robot people
I was getting, I'm sorry, I was confused with the idea of sharing. I thought that meant like being able to like
understand why we all doesn't mean you're wrong. We're all thinking about it in different ways.
As in we can't.
Yeah.
As in no one can hear
I don't think how will I fight you?
Very low lucky. Ever.
Yeah. But then we can still like discuss about these topics if you jump back in.
You are this to me. I'm this to you. Massive.
Yeah. It might just be extreme. It always just takes 5 minutes or something.
Oh my god.
Show me.
Oh my god, it's horrendous.
What is it?
It looks like a 40-year-old man. Rat. It's awful. A man rat.
Oh, don't say
That's really weird.
Right. We're slowly getting into it.
So we just talked about
like sharing it digitally.
and why were we talking about that? Because I pretty know.
I don't know, but I have a point about like
Alright, Katie, get us up.
death of the author point.
Oh.
Charlie rolled his eyes.
Charlie was like,
Not this one, man.
One track record, man.
Do we think, because you know how we're talking about seeing it digitally and then whether that ruins when you actually see it in person, like you've already seen it, so.
I was thinking, does that discourage you from going? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think it kind of. I don't know, because it's like if you're interested, then it definitely doesn't. Because you're like, oh, that looks good, I'll go.
But if it's a bit of a hassle to go and then you can see it online, would you then be like?
But then it's different, like the experience of viewing something, like in person.
I get what you're saying. 'Cause, like sometimes the idea of cinema and streaming, because for me, like, especially less so now that I use that projector in my front room, I'm less. Even though I do love the cinema, and every time I go, like, I wish I go more because it is so good. But then it's just like, but I could just sit at home, put my projector on, put my surround sound on, and just not bother. I could be in the comfort of my home. I could drink as many beers as I want that cost. I could get like a pack for like a tenner rather than paying £4 for like an individual drink. Get loads of scanning, like. And it is difficult, like, it is like, especially with the internet, because everything's so accessible. It's like, now I think people have to work harder to get you to do things beyond the. Whereas, like, when it would be before the birth of the internet, people would go out and, like, or before cell phones and stuff, you'd have to, I'll meet you here at a certain point, and everyone would go. You have
That's
to be
what
like
you
more.
have to do with KU.
Yeah, you'd have to be more physically active.
Whoa,
Physically active.
Incognito.
Whereas now you just
at the time.
kind of. You're more digitally active. And then it's
Missed
like,
that one.
and then it comes on to this question that's like, will we ever just like upload into this computer thing? And then it's just like everything. Then it's like this we live in a virtual reality, which is reality.
But I was thinking sometimes the
I don't. Meta reality.
Katie, carry on, plus.
And we should be back.
there's that thing.
Hi
There's that
guys,
thing
sorry
in
about
in Death of the Author about like some. Everyone just hates me when I mention that.
No, I love it.
About like
That's the author.
yeah. I don't know if you've heard of it. About like sometimes the reproduction of a work is like more highly thought of, or like I don't want to say better. I want to, because I guess that's subjective. Than like the original. So like the Mona Lisa, like if you go to see it in person, you're probably not going to see it because it's like
In a glass case.
behind like bulletproof glass, and then there's like people trying to take selfies in front of it, so you can't actually see it. Like, whereas you could just
Yeah,
a
it's
really good
horrible.
image up. Yeah. So then, do we think that, or do we think that you'd still want to do it? Like
I
go
went
and-
to see it, but you literally get like 10 seconds. Well, I didn't go specifically.
What do
to
you mean
see
you're
it,
going to
I
get
was
10
there anyway.
seconds?
Like when
It's
in
tiny.
the
So you
Louvre,
pushed round?
in the Louvre, going to see Mona Lisa,
Yeah.
it's just so busy. It's really unpleasant.
Tiny as well as.
Oh, so are you physically
Yeah,
told
it's
to?
tiny.
No,
and people don't
they-
expect
they-
it because
there
of this
are security
reproduction
guards
that we all have in
beyond,
our
there's
heads.
ropes. It's just so, that room is just so full of like tourists because obviously it's super famous.
I went to the
Yeah.
Louvre, but I just didn't go in.
Yeah.
Did you not?
No.
No,
I did-
I didn't really stay in.
I'm not
'cause
that
it's a bit
interested.
Like, and then it's behind glass, you can't really see it.
I
I
did.
had a similar experience because I went to Sistine Chapel,
Yeah.
which was just actually like a horrific experience, to be honest, because it was just really, really crowded. Obviously, people really wanting to be there for religious reasons, but because there were so many people, and if you took any pictures or get your phone out, there was quite aggressive security guards. So I guess it's that kind of idea of expectation versus
You're not allowed to take photos in the Sistine Chapel, are you?
no,
Why?
just can't.
Just just
Just
sacred.
religious.
Sacred.
Well,
isn't it?
yeah, place
then
of
that's-
worship.
So
So
there's-
then that means you have to go there to experience it. Whereas the
Yeah.
Mona
But there
Lisa,
is
like we all
photos.
know
But
what
you
it
don't
looks
really
like.
get to experience it. It's a very like.
Well, no, I don't even really think I could tell you what I saw. Like,
Yeah.
I just saw loads of people and lots of people shouting.
It's just
at
like a
people.
stressful tourist.
It's a
experience.
really stressful experience.
I did try to, like, in the first half of this year, try to just show my work in a digital, like, videos I'd made in digital format, and I'd uploaded them onto Vimeo. And when I had a tutorial, I showed them all on my phone for the purpose of it to test it out in that format. And they were like, "Oh, we wish it'd be good if you could get this up so we could see it in like real, like get it out in the space and stuff."
Yeah.
Like that. So I wanted it to be in that space. So it's like,
So what about us now using YouTube to put our work out there? So how do we feel about putting ourselves on the World Wide Web?
I prefer the format, us formatting ourselves on YouTube and format it straight into the gallery. I think like the
See,
YouTube
I don't. I
things are
think
more-
straight. I think if we might be more inclined to like try and get more people like in Gallery North if we didn't think that it was going. Because you know how we like. I don't know. I think more people listen on YouTube than ever come into the space.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, so
Where's-
so you think it's more important to broadcast into this space rather than onto the web?
Well,
We can reach a
personally,
wider-
like
So maybe we
I would prefer, because I think I'm more about like you should go and you should experience it, and then.
yeah.
But obviously, I don't think it is that more important because obviously it's reached. It wouldn't have. Nobody would have heard us if.
There's people in York who listen.
I mean,
isn't
there's
it?
a
It's like they're
there's a
not
few,
gonna-
yeah, and that's cool. Like when you said about that girl in York listening,
Shout
like,
out.
Shout out to Natalia.
hi Natalia.
Diesel.
But that's really cool, and I guess I don't think of that because I don't like promote anything.
Yeah.
I don't really engage with, you know.
Kate's not
Yeah.
a promo wanker.
Well, yeah,
What,
I
like
think.
all of us?
I mean,
So I think in the
Kaggle promo.
Yeah.
I hate it so much.
They're like, oh god, it's her again.
That's what Ian literally just said.
Really?
No, I'm sad.
So I think like with the formats of Vimeo showing work on a phone, kind of different formats and putting your work
Yeah.
somewhere that's what you said earlier, Sophie, about there's a difference of making it public, or like you change it from having it here and then putting your work out there is to turn it public.
Yeah.
And so it's
Ed's
like
doing lots of hand gestures which the listeners can't hear.
See, if they were here, they'd be
Yeah.
experiencing it.
oh yeah, so that
That's
proves
my point,
his
you
point.
miss.
I mean, because you were like, because it's here, and they can't see where you mean by here, and then you went like that.
I went like what?
Ed had his hands gesturing here, close to self, and then he gestured to the there,
To the extent
further
of his
from
arm.
self. So like,
The
So
expanded
if you come in next week, you'll see us do a show on art as an experience.
with gestures.
And you'll see my gestures. You'll see.
Don't know if you want to see them.
You'll see
Can we talk a little
You'll
bit
see
about
Sophie's
that?
dress sense and
briefly.
Which is epic.
Art as an experience, why are we doing it that way? 'Cause
Why are
we're
we
not
doing it that
gonna have it exist.
yes. So putting your work out there, yeah. So that's
Yeah.
interesting because we were having this discussion as art as an experience. We would change the format so it would go stream out live, and then just cease to be
Would
after
it
the
stream?
live.
Yeah.
Not the, would we cut the stream? And it would just
I had
be
I was under the assumption we weren't streaming. Like it was just gonna go to the gallery.
Because
So
But
that
then there are these conversations that we're having with these wider
Yeah.
wider institutes that are listening in.
So
that
I
would
think
be,
it should still.
I suppose they have a different
Stream,
experience.
But then it never
ends when the
exists
stream
after.
ends.
Yeah.
and we just cut
Yeah.
cut and delete it.
Yeah,
and
it's
it-
kind of like a happening then.
Yeah.
rather than
And I think the kind of with
Well, it
what Katie was
emphasises
saying.
the experience.
Yeah. So it's more about being in the space. Like they can stand in the
Praise.
next room across
Yeah.
and listen to us through there, and not even come into
It's
this
different
this room
experience
and
altogether.
hear us.
Yeah.
True that.
So it's so
With
that
our
putting your
voice.
work out there is a different. Within the context of this talk, putting your work
Yeah.
out there is kind of in the moment.
Yeah.
For that one, yeah.
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 Get that.
I have a question for you.
You have a question for me?
Yeah. So, well, I don't know if people don't know your practice. It's quite important for you to facilitate other people's work, and like, how do you see yourself in relation to helping or assisting other people and putting their work out there? Is that something that you're interested in?
Yeah.
Your face kind of
Do that,
looked
do that
really
kind of-
confused.
Oh, it? Oh,
Isn't that what
No,
Australians
it's
do?
because you were like,
Good night. I'm asking a question. Yeah, no, I think.
I am Australian.
Oh, shout out to Georgia, she's also listening. I think that, yeah, my practice takes in a role that I'm putting my work, well, I'm not sure, because I'm putting other people's work out there. But it's more my kind of, I would say, the stuff that I'm doing within my practice, it's more about just generating that space for it. And kind of commenting on the fact that there is space. Okay,
This is
Katie and Sophie are just winking at each other across the
They're
table.
missing the experience.
Sorry, Ed. Carry on.
So yeah, I think like it's more about seeing this kind of community build up from a kind of sense of, oh wait, we can put our work in different spaces. It's kind of like moving beyond the studio, moving beyond the gallery,
Yeah.
moving outside of the institute.
Yeah.
And stuff like so. Just different projects. Projects is a good way of looking at it. We just did a module seminar / briefing thing, where instead of having a person at the front of the class being taught, we actually wrote on a wall, and we over that we're gonna. I think there's only 4 sessions that we're gonna have, and it's about that. If you see a module more as a project that you're all in together, and that by the end of it you're gonna create a book, which as a collective, to which then the tutor Adam is gonna collate and research and do more on, and it just kind of the project words like project just seem more inclusive and
Then what, for example?
than module.
Oh, right. It's a more accessible
what-
term.
More accessible, that's it. Not
Yeah.
more
There's no
inclusive. Yeah.
pressure to like do things after, I feel, with project. Because
Yeah.
we're talking about collaborative project versus practice,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's, I don't know, it's kind of freeing to think, oh, one project, I could do more projects with the same person,
Yeah.
but it's not.
And you can have open-ended projects.
Yeah,
So like this project would start and then just have no idea how it would end.
yeah.
It'd just carry on.
I love the dimmer switch analogy that you and Georgia used.
Yeah.
'Cause
Do you want to
think
explain that?
works
'Cause
well
I
for
can't
everything.
remember.
So that
Oh, it
was
was really
used, they
good.
started
It's
it
a
in
good one.
kind of in relation to like working as a collaborative practice. So the fact that you can have like the dimmer switch switched on full, and that means that you're working a lot together, and you're very in
Almost
that,
exclusively together when
yeah,
it's full.
and there's a lot
Yes.
of work being
Yeah.
generated, but
I remember now.
you
Yeah.
don't always have to have the light on full. You can turn the light down, and it can change. And I think that's a really nice way of thinking about not only collaborative practice, but also the other thing we were just talking about. Like,
I think I had
what was it,
Being
Katie?
able to do other things, but also
Yeah.
still having that going on.
Just
but
working between
not
projects, I
generally,
guess.
yeah.
I think it's really interesting because in my living room I
full
have
pelt.
2 dimmer switches. That and the lights are right next to each other. I was like, why have 2 dimmer switches, one for each? And the fact that you can turn one up really high and one quite low. And like,
I've
it's
got 3
quite.
dimmer
So that's
switches
like-
and only one of them
It's really
works.
good. It's me and Georgia. I was like, in my living room, there's me and Georgia. What?
Whoa.
Sorry.
I've got 3 dimmer switches in my front room and only one of them works. I've got 2 in my bedroom and only one of them works.
Ooh. What does that say?
Maybe it's
What does that
maybe
say
it's
about
like
you?
turning down another light somewhere else,
Turning out, I don't know.
downstairs or upstairs.
That would be
Um,
quite fun.
but yeah, I think putting your work out there through projects is another
that's
way
what we were
that
talking
It's
about.
yeah
really important.
is a
You could
different
use it
like
for
way of
projects, yeah.
yeah, kind of, and then also applying for projects or commissions is another way. This was on. I think I've scrapped this list because I think it doesn't really. So well, actually, it does say enter competitions.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, it is that kind of commission thing. So putting your work out there through
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Has anyone done that whilst they've been here in Newcastle?
What's this?
Entered any competitions or?
Nah. I want to enter that open call thing that Paul Merrick suggested yesterday, though.
Yeah.
Which one was that?
The Lime Street.
The Lime Street thing. I think that'd be cool. And considering the way,
Were you listening?
Yes, I was listening. Yeah, yesterday, but I don't remember what he explicitly said about the open call thing.
it's just like literally that it's open call.
Open call.
Is it in for a
for-
gallery space or
6
is
or
it
7
for-
images of your practice,
Yeah.
and then a proposal about your work or what you would like to show within this.
Oh, so it is a gallery.
It's
At Lime
exhibition.
Street.
It's exhibition over.
36 Lime Street.
It's exhibition
Yeah.
over 2 weekends, and they
Yeah.
do that 8 times a year.
I think that was quite
Okay.
interesting though, because he said that the work doesn't necessarily have to be finished. So it's like putting your work out there, but I always think of putting it out there as like a finished piece, you exhibit and
So it's
your
like project
final
space.
thing. It's more like, I think of it more like a project space.
It's like what
Yeah.
Catherine Elkin did, like what you were saying earlier. It's like that unfinished. It's an interim show because well, she
But I
she was
think-
pregnant,
yeah,
so she had to take
yeah,
time out.
Yeah. It's nice to kind of look in on someone's practice in that way, and to put that into the public realm. I've got some kind of questions that I'd written down about in terms of putting your work out there, like because for me, I'm relating it a lot to like putting your work somewhere where, or like telling people about it, showing people. And I kind of was wondering, what are the boundaries of the public realm? Which is vague, but yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Like when, if I just show you my work, is that public or is that not public? Because you're...
Usually that's private because you select who you want to
I
see
think-
it.
Do we see public as people outside of
Well, that's
the
what
course?
I'm asking.
Outside of like,
I don't know.
even outside of the art, like the art world, kind of.
I would see public as something where like you don't have the decision to make to decide who sees it and who doesn't
Yeah.
see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what, when you relinquish some control?
Because
Yeah.
private would be like invitation only, wouldn't it?
Mm.
That's private.
But then is an
But then-
invitation
but the-
only preview of public? Oh no, it's not.
Because everyone like it's like
But
like
it's
private
still a
schools.
type of public.
Private schools are private schools because in effect the money you pay is your invitation to that school. Public schools are free to accessible for anyone to utilise. Same if you put that in the context of your work. It would be like you say you've just shown Katie, you've selected Katie individually.
Yeah, but am I not still making that kind of public in a sense of the word by showing Katie? Because the work no longer exists just for me. I've now kind of opened it up to someone else's view.
That's 2 different versions of public. Or
Yeah.
you're viewing private as like within yourself, rather than private being within like a sphere.
Like a
of your
safe
own
sphere
choosing.
of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, I think that's
That's
I think that's a question, because I think there are a lot of people on our course who do feel very intimidated about sharing their work with other people on the course,
Yeah.
and they would see that as a public realm.
Mhm.
And because I don't think it is, it should be a safe space, but it's not always.
No,
Yeah.
like even with it, even if you're comfortable sharing it with certain people,
Yeah.
of course, it's
And how does friendship affect that? Is kind of another thing I'd written down. Like, do we feel less vulnerable putting our work out there when we do that with friends, in terms of we've already got our friends' approval, or if we're doing something collaborative, does that make you feel less vulnerable?
Yeah,
I think it comes out of
definitely.
trust, doesn't it? Who you trust to look at your work.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's probably what would be the answer to the people who feel uncomfortable showing their work within the studio environment on our course. They'd show people they trust, But people who don't know, they don't necessarily trust or they don't feel comfortable because a lot of people find their work very private, and that was why they'd be.
So they don't trust people outside of the course?
No,
or
no,
they trust
no,
people,
they
don't
don't-
trust people on the course?
They don't trust people they don't
Depends
know.
on the individual.
They don't know, but that's what I'm saying. The work's private, so they select the people they want to see,
Yeah.
and that still in their mind exists within a private context because they've made they're still in control with who. It's like what Olivia was saying. She likes to be in control of who
Yeah.
sees her pages, so she puts it on private. It's all about control, and as long as the people with their work have the control over who sees it, then it's still in effect private because they are aware of who's seeing it. Public is like you have
But
no.
you're not in control of what people's reactions are.
Yeah.
That doesn't change the fact that it's still like.
So do you think you relinquish kind of,
Even if I
when you put your work out there, sorry?
even if I only show my work to you guys, like I'm controlling who's seeing it, but I have no control over how you feel about it or what your reaction is. So for me, I think that is still in a way opening it up to a public sphere. It
Yeah.
might not be the wider public sphere, but and I was wondering for you, Olivia, like with your Instagram, how do you view that our Instagram page that has got privacy settings set to closed? Is that a public realm? Is that a private realm? Like,
I don't know. I feel like it was such an instant and just felt like a good right situation for me that I haven't really even given any thought about really, and only now am I thinking like why did I actually make the choice to make that private, because I don't know, because it doesn't, like my work is quite different in the sense that you could go into my studio, realistically anyone could just go into my studio
Yeah.
and you can see my work, you could, whereas I might not necessarily be able to see your work from going in your studio, because I would be able to see a lot of your notes or your method of thinking, but I wouldn't necessarily be able to see your video work. So I think maybe in my mind, like subconsciously, that's my way of kind of having ownership. Whether that is the right word or not, I don't really know. I don't know.
The blistering
I
effects
don't really
of
know why
criticism.
I've done it. Isn't that weird?
What?
Had it private. I get why I have two, and then that's the conscious decision that I've made.
yeah,
But I don't necessarily know why my art page is private.
yeah.
But
Why
that
would
just
your personal one be private?
my personal one. Because I have a lot of people I don't.
Because it's personal.
Yeah.
It's fine. Practice
it
is
just,
personal.
Yeah, it's just,
But-
my life is something that I like
Yeah.
to keep private.
Yeah.
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 I think. Should we?
Oh yeah, have you got any?
Yeah. I've got
Because,
some.
and we put out flyers again for our guest lecture program, and we got quite a lot of no yes answers,
Yeah.
which
Quite a lot. I got
Can-
one. Yes.
yes, and that can help quite a bit, but also maybe they're not that
Have we got any good ones?
much to talk
I've
about.
got one.
So the
Well,
question
any-
that we asked for this week
you know.
was, do you need university to get your work out there? Which does actually warrant a yes or no kind of answer. But has anyone got?
I've got some
I've got some.
elaborations.
Go on.
Well, I've got 4 in front of me, and everyone has written no.
You don't need a university.
No, but 3 of the 4 have kind of elaborated. So we've got no, but university does help to network. No, but it doesn't hurt. It is a good way of networking and making connections that you might not have made otherwise. And no, you can still present and sell work, but uni helps you to get into contemporary, in quote marks, galleries. Katie, what have you got?
I have basically the same thing. No, but it helps create connections. And then one which I haven't put no yes, but don't really know if it's.
What
It
did
just
they
says,
say?
do you need university to get your work out there? Artwork is validated by a degree. Doors can be opened. Opportunities you may not have with art. You may not have art at uni. And then networking is also available.
So what's that first bit again?
Artwork is validated by a degree. Do we agree?
That's a
I think-
statement.
Well, one of mine says, I think people without art degrees are sometimes overlooked.
Say
Did you hear
again?
that, or were you whisper like?
No.
No,
I
sorry.
heard what you said. It's just
Yeah.
Katie was saying something.
So you think to get your work out there, it needs to be validated by the degree.
I don't. This person does.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this person is people without art degrees are sometimes overlooked. Do you think this is true? Without art degrees.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
without
making
art degrees,
so
I look by the art
because this is what I was trying to get at
That's-
earlier is about the whole
yeah.
Facebook page. If the person who had a Facebook page didn't have an art degree, would we look as people who are on the ways to get a degree,
Yeah.
or in this?
I think you
circle
don't need one to be.
How would you look at that? How would you look at someone?
I don't always know if someone's had one.
Yeah, I've never.
People don't advertise then.
I haven't.
Well, I mean, it's on their website normally, and they're about like graduate from blah blah blah. in
The
blah, blah,
Slade.
blah.
But I feel like you
Gladstone.
can come from any background and still be a really good.
maybe it's
artist. I
harder
think
to
you-
get established
Yeah.
because of what.
But
all
I wouldn't
these
think any-
these points about networking.
Yeah, well, it's like I've had several conversations with Eva in our year, and she said that she really struggled on her own to become. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this, but tell me for other people. Just
Name
that
drop.
idea that you kind of do feel the need to have a degree by other people putting pressure on you.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily what the person wants to do, but feels that they need to do.
It's a weird dynamic, really, because we'll accept that for the topic what I'm going to say, we'll accept that music and art kind
Mhm.
of work parallel.
Yeah.
A lot of majority of famous musicians or poets never have a degree.
I don't know if that's. I think that's a really generalised. Poets, a lot of them.
Okay, maybe not
like,
poets. Let's get
Poet
Yeah, I think-
laureates have often been to like very like Russell Group.
okay, get rid of the poet thing then.
Unis.
Maybe.
But there's also that whole thing about when that is true for the people that it's advertised for.
Mhm.
So when you know that Albert Einstein and stuff like this were dyslexic and they didn't finish, or you say a director, I can't remember her name, she never even completed her film degree.
Mhm.
It's that kind of, you only know it because it's advertised.
Because
so
it's
whereas
like-
there are
As a
loads.
success story.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, it's an odd thing. So, but then if we think about that as an artist, like Gavin Turk,
Mhm.
he was one of the, or is one of the YBAs, and he failed his degree because he decided to kind of just put a blue plaque on his studio space, and it was like here worked Gavin
heard about
Turk,
this, yeah.
sort of like throughout his degree, and he failed it, and it was just kind of like, but now he's a success. But it's only, again, it's this success story.
Yeah, because you can make a really good piece of work after your degree, and it won't matter what degree, what you.
But then that was that.
Yeah.
But then it's
Actually,
that whole
within the
thing
sense,
of
it's
it's
putting your
always
work
so
out there.
subjective that it doesn't
Yeah.
matter anyway.
It's not even necessarily about whether your work's really good. Like this person has written such a. So our second question is: do you think it's hard for young creatives to be heard? And this is so true for me anyway. This point is so valid that it's not about your talent; it's about who you know. And I do think that certainly is.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like you can make the best work, but if you don't know certain people, and also like social privileges come into that
Yeah.
as well. Like,
Well,
is,
yeah.
is it easier to get your work out there and for you to be heard if you're, you know, a straight white man, for example?
Yeah.
Like, tend to be more well represented by galleries. Like, I don't think it's. I think. For me, I definitely don't think we can just think of the people who manage to get their work out there. It's not a meritocracy. It's not as simple as that.
It's all what? Sorry.
It's not a
what?
meritocracy.
What's this?
So meritocracy is the idea that everything you do, you earn because every privilege or good thing that comes your way is because you worked hard and you deserved it, and that everything's fair and that anyone can get anywhere.
The American dream.
Depending on how
Yeah.
hard they work.
That's
I mean, I think around this table, we all would acknowledge that is
That's
bollocks.
Absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it's very dismissive of the fact that like.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Well, but it's not just that as well. Like
There's other
it's
factors.
also
Yes.
like, you know, yeah, like
The
how
way you-
privilege operates.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the one thing I've had a conversation with a lot of people before in the past is about private schools and the fact that, like, when it comes to privilege, they pay for an education which is superior to people in public schools, and they have opportunities which, because of their background, that they haven't. The children that go to these schools never had a choice of their background. They get the background's thrust upon them through no fault of their own, just through history and how that's developed. But yet people can pay for a better kickstart at life with private schools and other people, so therefore their ability to get out there in that context is then heightened because of privilege. So
yeah, it's not meritocracy.
yeah, you never get.
You give him some good starter.
Yeah, and I understand like people think if you've got the option, like it's like Dr. Shakamoto says, if you've got the option, man, take it. But yeah, it's kind of like in the same instance, like does that I understand what people are saying, but in the same sense, like if you have that idea of like if you've got the option, take it, that just perpetuates the problem that there is not an equal chance, and then it does hinder people's thing, and then people inevitably can end up getting sour about it, and then it just continues in this vicious cycle. Like, and that I do find I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but I'll end it on like I do find a big problem with like that. If you've got the option to do it, take it, especially when it's something that is so. It can have such big ramifications. Like it's like a problem that it's just a way out of it. Do you know what I mean? Rather than going, oh, like it's like people with meat, like, oh, it's there, so I may as well eat it. Like the cows are gonna die anyway, so I'll eat it. No, like that just perpetuates the problem. Stop eating the meat. Stop going to the private schools. Rock on.
But this is interesting because we're obviously none of us went to private schools.
I did.
Oh, you
so
went to private schools. Go on.
So because I agree with you, Charlie. Like as someone who went there, that is an unfair advantage in your life, and there is definitely a sense of privilege and entitlement that comes with that. Because that's when we talk about institutional privilege, that's another institutional privilege, economic institutional privilege, and yeah, I think. What was the initial point?
Well, you going to so you're going to Newcastle as well. Well, we were talking earlier about these poets that went to these red brick universities, and you went to Newcastle University. You didn't do art, but I'm telling you what you did. I don't know why. Humanities. And like, so how would you see kind of your putting, if you did art over there? I don't know if you had any contact with the art students there, but how can you see your way of putting your work out there in comparison to how we as Northumbria can put our work out there? Are we grassroots? Are they more privileged?
I literally didn't do any art there, so I have no idea.
You could have said that before.
Juliet kind of answered.
Yeah, Juliet last week.
Yeah, but she said this wouldn't happen.
Oh, a mouse. Sorry, I just saw a mouse.
Really?
Outside, don't worry. Sorry, it was really cute.
No, it wasn't.
Mice
sorry.
are cute, guys.
Yeah, if you come in,
Rats,
you can see
however.
rats and mice. Carry on. Juliet.
Juliet answered that question last week. She said, people seem to do Northumbria to Newcastle. No one usually does.
What's that? Did you see it?
Stop it!
Right, I'm just going to keep my
that was
outside.
Sorry, carry on. It came straight to the window. I think we've got a new listener.
I need to see it.
Okay, carry on.
No, I don't
This
know.
is-
The mask is so much more interesting right now.
Okay, back to the discussion.
Kate-
Everyone is looking out the window.
Katie is doing her little pipe
No,
piper.
Which direction did it go?
It came straight to the window. But anyway, so yeah, I think that's an interesting sort of how we see these universities and how we, I suppose within, to bring it back down to our Institute of Northumbria, then we kind of go, how can, with the people inside, so as first year, second year, third year, and let's say the MA and GSN, how can we get our work out there? How have we physically done that? So we've done the exhibition with Red.
Yeah.
We've done student-led
Which was
workshops.
still very, I think it was within the uni.
Internal, but
it was
so then how do we see our work, putting our work out there,
but
not expanding beyond the walls of the
I'd quite like the
university?
Kaggle to do what Judy did, where she gave us loads of things to actually find, to network, to like be able to, like she give us.
But that is part of
Yeah.
her practice. Is
Yeah.
Who's-
Can
who's-
you-
yeah, I
can't remember what
don't
it
know.
was.
Right. So, do you know when like you get artists in the Kaggle that I would go, I did a residency here, I did a residency, like, how do you get these things? Do you know what I mean? And Judy's so open, like they just pulled this veil down, and it was just like, I think
But that comes back to what you say about private schools. I think that's where a lot of the privilege comes from in it, is that you get told how to do shit
Yeah.
that is like
Someone gives you a nudge and
unfair.
goes
It's
like,
like nepotism kind of in like a social class way as well. And like I don't know if I think that's a bad thing.
yeah.
I wouldn't send my kids to one,
Mm-hmm.
even having been to one.
Yeah.
That's such a privileged point of view to have as well.
Yeah. You have
I
the
can be
option.
like, well, I've been there, and now I can say this.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah,
know,
but
that's why I
also-
try and like check that
Mhm.
because that is my you know, I can't try and pretend that I didn't.
I
Have
feel like
that.
you're one of
Mhm.
like the most self-aware people I've ever known.
I'm definitely not.
But I also think, you know, you
Really
can't
worried about the mouse. Sorry.
you can't
Go
argue it
outside.
I'm
too much.
afraid of rodents. But I was just thinking about like how you get told how to do stuff. Like you get told how to network and
Yeah.
that kind of shit. And perhaps that's also things that can exist in universities in different ways. So maybe at Newcastle University, there's a different focus in the way their art department operates to ours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, they're a much smaller art department.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're quite.
But they
Yeah.
have like 60 per year though.
Same with
No, no, no.
Yeah.
As in art department, as in we're arts department, as in we're graphics.
Oh, you mean like
we're
the whole
yeah,
kind of like
fact-
faculty?
yeah,
What's
faculty.
Faculty of
They're
art
very
design.
fancy.
Same
But-
as
but-
Birmingham.
So they have a
Is that
smaller
what it's called?
equipment.
Same as
stores
Birmingham.
and
They've got
stuff
like a
that,
really
yeah.
like niche, really small knit community, like really like.
Is
But
that
yeah,
because
I'm not-
they're just fine art and architecture? They haven't got all the like we've got loads. We've got animation, film, fashion.
Yeah.
interior,
Well, I only kind of use this as a model because we are at Northumbria and there is over the road Newcastle.
Yeah.
So there are these red bricks right next to polytechnics all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have this poly versus posh
Yeah.
kind of ethos around privilege. But I was just wondering, like, what it might be actually interesting to get Newcastle student
Perspective,
comments on
yeah,
this, like
definitely.
like what they think. Getting your work out there, and they get funding for some things. They can
Yeah.
apply for funding as students to do
Should we go
stuff
get some of
outside.
these tickets to the Newcastle people.
It might be quite
So
interesting
that's like
to
an
sort of
interesting
Yeah.
debate. I think.
debate about also how like the privileges operate in the uni.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that university, because it's a red brick, maybe has more funding
Yeah.
and is
Mm.
able to support student-led projects, and yet from
Because we-
Juliet's comment, it sounded like we have more student-led projects happening, which is quite ironic and weird.
Because it's like that kind of acting as a. Well, we just like really want to do stuff. It's like I know
Yeah.
they'll want to do stuff as well, but we're kind of going. It's about that putting your work out there. We're kind of actively going. Oh, I really want to
Yeah.
do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So back to like kind of what we're doing
Yeah.
as the sort of year groups and the BA and the MA.
I feel like
and
it's
stuff
like
like
we
that.
have like we acknowledge that we spend a lot of money on this. We don't want to waste the opportunity. I'm not saying that people over there are necessarily wasting their opportunity. Maybe that's a bit of a general. Nah, take that.
I feel like we don't know anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
you know
well,
a couple of people.
yeah.
don't you?
And I think I don't know. I think it's obviously just a differently ran
Yeah, it's got a.
course, say, but I think it's
Yeah,
it's
I
an odd.
think, yeah, because I think it's very easy for us to say all this stuff, but we actually don't
Actually,
know
we
what it's
actually
like.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be
definitely.
on.
Those
I've-
courses.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's weird. Like when you get asked, "Oh, you go to university in Newcastle," like, did you think about going to Newcastle? I was like, no, I always just thought about Northumbria. I was like, I knew Newcastle was there, but I just never thought about going there.
Yeah, I never thought about Newcastle.
You-
I
you
always,
looked
See,
at both,
yeah,
didn't you?
I
Yeah.
applied
And
and
you
was
did, Katie.
rejected by Newcastle
I got
Uni.
in both, but I chose here.
I always thought Newcastle is this like dead like.
Interesting.
You know what I
So
mean?
Charlie and Ed were like, Northumbria's the
But
one.
I'd never even looked at it. But
But
it
how
was
did
it.
you know Northumbria was? Oh, because your mum did a
No,
degree here?
no.
Whose mum did a degree here?
No.
Someone's did a master's here.
My mum did a master's at Sheffield.
Okay, well, someone's parent did it, and that's how they knew this uni was here.
But
How
I
did you
think
know this was here? Because I didn't know this
Northumbria.
was here till I moved to Newcastle.
I was told about Northumbria by my tutors in York, and York and Northumbria have like this weird connection that they have like a lot of students come here from.
Okay,
York.
so
I-
but
it
that's
may have,
how,
like,
that's
kind
kind
of-
of like the
From
network
York?
operating in that way
Yeah.
as well.
Because York, I think around, I'm only going by the basis that where I've been from. So York is in like the centre of some, like, it's weird. So like you can go up an hour up on the train to Northumbria, or you can go an hour to Sheffield, or you can go like and like these two places are mostly where a lot of York people go, and a lot of people go.
University
within
of
the arts,
York,
maybe.
and then like York St John's, or is that
Yeah.
like?
Yeah, so that's the
And
same.
what's is York St John's
There is a red brick, yeah.
York is,
is
the
it-
red brick, and then
and
York
York
St
St.
John's
John's
is
is
the.
Because I looked at York St John's as well.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Don't know why.
I think.
She was telling us what she applied
Yeah,
for and got
just-
in
yeah.
for. So Liv, yeah, she
Did
got to
you get
Newcastle.
into everywhere you
Yeah,
applied for?
exactly.
I didn't get into Goldsmiths.
Did you not?
No, I didn't like the interview. But
You
anyway,
didn't like the interview,
no,
so you were like, don't let me in.
yeah. I bombed the interview, which well, not bombed it, like, but I was just like, you know what, it's too prestigious for me. It literally was more about their, and I suppose this is what I'm looking at in a minute. Is that it's about this seeing the work outside of this university and kind of going, well, that's not any of the students' work. That's not a sculpture out there. That's not ours. So it's around Goldsmiths, it was very much. This is the building that's named after such and such, and look at the sculpture on the side of it. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Like
That's someone that you know that you can Google
Like JSV
went to this,
Ready Macintosh Library kind of
something
thing.
like that, and I was just like, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose it was not
It's very
not so
intimidating.
similar.
It's quite
That's-
intimidating that
I think
ethos.
that might not necessarily be like.
You
what's
have to
actually
live up to
there.
this, otherwise
Yeah,
you are not
exactly. Yeah,
successful in our minds. And you know, if we're going to take you under this roof, you've got to make us like proud of you.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
horrible.
But it's also like
That's
here
a
at
lot of
Northumbria, it
pressure.
was the kind of, did you know Jonathan Ives went here? And I was like,
Yeah.
who's Jonathan Ives? It was like, look in your pocket. Your iPhone was designed by him. And I was like,
Was
oh,
it?
cool.
What?
I was like, did he do fine art? No. Oh, what did he do? Like design or something?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, cool.
I didn't know that.
Okay, now it's exciting for you, but I'm just like saying that it wasn't that exciting.
I didn't know who he
I
was.
feel
Yeah.
like it's
but I
not
didn't
exciting
know
because
that.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Like everyone talks about it because I live with like product design people,
Yeah.
and they talk about it all the time, and it's like, ugh.
Jonathan Ives.
I'm more excited about this girl that's on the side of the university building. She's been there for like
Yeah,
3 years.
yeah,
Like,
same.
who's she?
I always think
She's just a
that.
random student.
The one on the poster.
Yeah, like they're just on the, side of
poster
this,
on the
the
other side.
big poster.
What,
Yeah.
saying come here?
Yeah.
She probably doesn't even go here. It's
I
probably
know.
She
She
doesn't even go here.
Well, that's another interesting thing. The banner that the masters uses to support this course. I know we're going into like a weird tangent here, but it's the fact that this person is stood there at the Baltic 39, leaning against a wall, and it's no one on the course. It's just the fact that he looked good when they were, the
weird.
photographer was there.
That's weird.
It's a little bit, but anyway, back into the whole realm of putting your work out there. It's just like,
One of the reasons I came to this university, majority was for this like Baltic connection. And then once you're here, the veil is lifted, and that is no option until you've finished your degree. So it's like that.
Oh,
that
oh,
It's
so you
like a
can-
postgraduate
Yeah.
connection rather
Yeah.
than an
It's like-
undergrad, isn't it?
But the way it's worded on the thing is like, yo, we've got this and we've got this, and it's like, I was like, oh, that'd be great, like to like work with people that are in the real world. Something it's kind of preparing yourself to be like to work within that, operate in that real world. Like kind of one about how we view it as like, we'd like to view it as how we were just artists paying for space and paying for materials and opportunities. But then it's like, no, you're a prototype. You can't use we can't trust you. Use the, I don't know why. Maybe it's something to do with trust. You can't thingy with the Baltic connections until you've like done your degree, and then you're legitimised, and then you can go on and use the connections properly.
Mhm.
And that comes back down to the idea that you are legitimised through a degree.
But with us now being situated within the gallery, doing as a contribution to this, do you see like what we were saying about how the gallery was an abstract thing that we?
I feel like the
come back.
bunker is
So what? Yeah. So what is this now? The
I
fact
feel
that you've put your work out there from your studio's just a couple of walls
Yeah.
away, but you've come here and you put your work into this space, separate to the.
I feel like the bunker is like a genuine it's legitimised now as something that's would be, because I've accepted it within the art world as being like a proper working organism, not just a
But
student
what if we did
A
this not in
project?
connection with gallery?
Yeah.
Would you call it a project?
I don't know, I think it would be more than a project, because we've got a few ideas that would be extend beyond just this.
But what
Mhm.
if we did this like just not in connection with going, because we could have
Just done this.
just
in
done
our
it. It's
studio.
Well, to be
YouTube. It's
fair,
YouTube
that's what we were
live.
gonna
Like,
do,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
yeah.
But so in terms of like
So
putting
then
the
is
work
that not
out there,
legit?
would we have put as much time in if we'd just been doing it
Mm.
for our
Us.
internal university practice rather than an outward facing,
Mm.
putting ourselves somehow
I think
Yeah.
we all got more excitement at the prospect, the fact
like
that,
hyped.
that like
Yeah.
the public sphere, public realm,
yeah.
was going to be interacting with us properly and not being us interacting with people in the idea that we are a prototype.
Mm.
Mm. And the fact that it's the people that it kind of goes back to who we knew and that we
Yeah.
got this.
And it's interesting this side, like just a side note, that like you spent a lot of time at university like developing a practice. We've never. This is a new practice. I'm viewing it as a new practice for all of us, but we've never done it before. Yet now it's the first time we've done it, and it's like cool. You could technically class us as the bunker as an artist. Do you know what I mean? They're actively working as a collaborative art form.
It's like a research
Yeah.
module.
And it's just,
Module.
and
Why
we've
is
only,
it
we've only
module?
done it once. We've not spent years
Yeah.
like understanding this. Do you know what I mean? But then
We've just
It's-
thrown ourselves into
Well,
it.
back to like, do you need university to get your work out there? Would the bunker have come about without university? Like, no.
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 We wouldn't know each other
Yeah.
if we. Maybe that's another, like, as well as networks. When it's thinking about, people that you can. Networks mean a lot. It's also like making your peer, like meeting your peers and having people to work with. It might, if you don't even have that university starting point, it might be quite hard to find people to work with.
Because I think the most exciting thing for me about this bunker thing, aside from the fact that it helps me learn, is that I can have it, if I want to, separate to my degree. It doesn't have to be anything to do with my degree. It's something that we're doing. Obviously, I'm going to include it in my degree. Just
Yeah.
Oh, so it becomes part of a research folder?
yeah.
Or is it become part of a... this is odd.
Documentation.
Because I could see this.
Documentation practice.
Yeah.
An archive of
Yeah.
things you've done.
Because I see this as like the potential in this as something that can go beyond the degree and live outside of it.
Okay, so the degree and your work, I don't know what the policy is, but I kind of remembered that. Isn't it something that if you made a piece of work in school,
They own it
Yeah.
for 2 years
owns it.
afterwards.
So your work that you make for the degree, you can't sell.
Hmm.
Oh,
Or-
really? I thought some of the stuff got sold at Degree Show last year. Though.
It can do, but as
But
in
does the
whilst you're
proceeds-
making it, and you can't use stuff that you made outside as your degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
'cause
it's
that's
like-
always in
so-
red, like,
Where does this
would be
exist then?
So
cheaper.
where,
Is this outside? Is
yeah,
this-
what's happening now then? Are we making something that we can't push out to the public? Well, we are through a means of platform of YouTube,
It's an enigma.
but then
Okay.
bringing it back in. So if you brought it into your studio,
Is that against the rules of?
I mean, this is.
I don't
this
understand,
is,
yeah.
This is university.
Yeah,
like
this
a-
is University Gallery.
It's a contradiction in a way, isn't it? Like this is. I very much think that this wouldn't have come about without the university, so we wouldn't know each other. And the only way we were introduced to Gail was through being lucky enough to have like Kate as one of our tutors.
Yeah.
So like we, you need those tutors. They might introduce you to someone, and then the gallery is actually like facilitated by the university. It's in a university building. It's
Yeah.
run by the university.
I think the opportunities propelled us as a group to be able to legitimise this as a proper working artist practice. Whereas if we'd have just come, if we'd have come with this independently of this opportunity we were given, it would have still been something that we just had to spend time developing and like thinking about. And this, but now it's like we've got the freedom to do whatever we want with it. If we want to do something, we don't have to spend time researching why we want to do that and why we've done that. We just do it, and we enjoy the fact that we do it because we want to do it.
So you're saying that the fact that we're doing it in this context, in the gallery, means that we don't have to do all that research behind it that would be expected of us if
Yeah.
it was part of the degree, like an expectation? Because you keep using the word legitimised.
Yeah, I think like if you were to be, if you in the real world, I think that's acceptable. Is that an acceptable term to use? The real world and then the degree world.
the degree world.
Because it's like you don't like this for me. We do naturally critically assess it, but if we wanted to, we could just operate this broadcast and this idea of the bunker free from critical thought and just pursue it naturally.
But the whole conversation
If we think
that we're
about it
having
as a
are
Venn
critical
diagram,
thought.
where would
No,
we
no,
put
no.
it?
Critical thought about the way the bunker operates, the conversations. But if we'd chose to do this and be part of the practice, like with the Betty and the Rat thing, you'd have to critically assess how the Betty and the Rat conversations operate.
But do you not see this as part of your practice?
I do see, yeah, that's what I mean. I do see, but I feel like there's a conscious option for me to whether I want to put it into my degree or not.
Yeah, but
Does that not?
I think your degree isn't just because I think your practice is a wider thing, and you kind of curate parts of your practice into your degree. I don't know if that's sounds like totally like.
Well, then the only thing I was saying.
That literally sounds so stupid. I don't know how to phrase that.
Only reason being is because Ed was saying you can't bring anything outside of university into your degree,
Well,
and it's like.
yeah.
Well, it's kind of that's odd because obviously there are so many grey areas
Yeah.
with that.
How-
You
Yeah.
can't make stuff from
Yeah.
another
So, for
thing
example,
and bring it in.
you couldn't show your random acts
I can't
thing
use that.
as
Yeah.
your degree show because from both sides that would be a no.
Yeah. FYI,
FYI,
I
guys.
made a random acts film. So that's about putting your work out there. It's like applying for commissions, which I applied for, and I went through the process of interviews and stuff like that. And it's just kind of getting your work out there. But in the stipulation of that commission, which I found out through the university, through Judy again, was one of our tutors saying that I used to work for Random Acts, so you should apply. And I did and got it, and then yeah, so through the small print of that, you can't use it outside. I don't think at this minute I can even distribute. I don't think I even have a copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just have it on the Channel 4 website. A little shout out there. You can.
What's it called?
You know, what's it called? It's called Prima Facie.
So if you go on the Google,
On the Google, go on the Google,
you
on
go
the
to
World Wide
Channel 4 Random
Interwebs.
Acts website, and you look for Prima Facie by Edward Lawrenson.
Why is it called Prima Facie?
I think Prima Facie means about first encounters or first evidence. I think.
What did
What
you
language
find
is
out?
that in?
You should probably check that.
Yeah, I should probably check it. It was kind of a last minute. Yeah, it's Latin. It's a law term. So prima facie is
So prima
first
facie.
evidence. So it's like at first glance or first look. I think.
Oh right.
So-
like surface level.
So yeah, on the surface level of stuff like kind of. But anyway, enough about my amazing Random Acts film.
Plug.
What were we talking about that? Using it within the degree. So you can't use it, but you can use the ideas of actually, I can create. Yeah, it's about like kind of bringing it back in.
Yeah.
Because
And your experiences from it will inform your practice.
Yeah, but this is another thing. Experiences you can bring in.
Yeah.
You can do something outside to bring in, but it has to walk this really fine line of is it new work being created in your studio and you're an artist, you're in a practice and doing this, or is it work that you're making outside and you kind of going, well, I'm going to use it like this.
What about the house exhibitions then? Because one of the rules was that we don't want to use anything associated with the university.
Well,
the work,
Was it?
equipment was like
Oh yeah.
yeah, equipment. So then, on what kit do you put? Can you put them in your document? The house exhibitions in your
Because
document?
I guess we would, because we were
Because
talking
we
a lot
consider
about using work we'd already made,
Mhm.
which we presume have made.
Within the uni?
Yeah.
Mhm.
What were you going to say? Kate?
Okay. Yeah. Don't
About
know.
documentation, like putting it in.
Yeah, because it was.
No,
kind
but I
of,
was going to say because I would still consider that part of my practice, and if I want
If it's part
the
of your
uni to
practice.
recognise, everything I'm doing while I'm at uni.
And that you've tested installing in different.
Yeah.
Because that was a big one of your motivations for it, wasn't it? To like try out how do you install in all these different environments,
yeah.
and how does that change?
Because you can't help that it informs your practice,
Yeah.
no matter what you do.
I guess it just kind of the thought was that it was trying to find a way out of the institution and how we can operate independently outside of that. But then
But
if-
it's being within an institution that makes us want to do that. If we weren't, then we wouldn't even have this
Levels, guys.
Twists my
This is why
melody.
we all get stuck. There's no end
But we
to
weren't.
the
If,
circle.
I've never thought about that. If we weren't within an institution right now, would we?
I
We
don't
maybe.
know where to start.
Yeah,
Would we
maybe-
necessarily be?
Because house exhibitions may be the only thing that we had available to us anyway, so we wouldn't think about it
So
as.
do you need university to get your work out there?
Well,
I
we're gonna
guess so.
we're gonna publicise it around here.
I've just looked at. I've just looked back at that 16 points, and point number 13 again. I do not agree with. It's emulate successful artists.
Hey?
Oh, in what sense of emulation?
So sometimes the best way to be successful is by finding out what successful people do and copying that.
That's kind of more of a business approach, isn't it? Like a
So-
good way to have a business is to look at someone who's doing something and do it better.
So getting your work out there, is it a business? Have you got
No.
other? Have you got other
Depends if
things in
you're
your?
commercialing it or. But even if you're not.
Okay,
even,
okay, if
well,
we
well,
think
so
about-
this does not work. Even if I don't want to sell the individual work, I suppose in some way you might have a commercial purpose because you want to
Promote yourself.
promote yourself so that maybe a gallery sees you
Yeah.
and they're like, ooh, this person is making
Yeah.
work.
Ooh.
Ooh, hello. Like,
So you can just imagine someone so
yeah,
like,
there's
ooh.
no financial gain, but there's promotional gain.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, definitely. There's.
Yeah.
Self-promotion.
Why do you not agree with it?
About emulating a
Mhm.
successful artist. I don't know, because I feel like then it becomes more of a idolization of
Yeah.
someone,
What, so
or as an artist as idol, kind of.
what are you, when you're reading that, what are you thinking that it
Well,
means?
it's success stories. Again, back to the whole of seeing what someone else does and go, oh, that's a really good model. I'm going to copy that.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it's like using a model and just kind of go, okay, we find
Yeah.
it in different ways.
But could we use this more for like less than emulating the work they make? We could emulate people who are successful at promoting themselves, strategies for doing so. So like,
But then this is
if
what
you know
this
that
whole
someone
16
has
point
like
thing
a
is.
curated Instagram, you could be like, you don't need to copy their style, but you might think, actually, that looks really good. And
There's methods they
But I
use
think
in which
that's
you
what-
can manipulate
Yeah.
for your own gain.
like,
But is that not what we always do with like
That's just
creation
Yeah.
and
That's just the
stuff?
case of everything that
Yeah.
like comes back to the idea of
Thinking, how
simulation.
can I
Comes back to the idea of
use
simulation.
my-
Everything's just a copy of a copy of a
there's
copy.
nothing super unique, is there?
No.
Was that a yawn? Are we boring you?
No, that was because my brain was like, I was just thinking so hard, I need to get more oxygen in, so I just yawned and... like,
And now
Now
she's
you
being,
feel fresh.
now she's being judged
And now
for
I'm so
it.
fresh and oxygenated. My blood is red.
Yeah.
Pumping it around your
Was
body.
there any guys? Stop yawning.
No.
It's contagious.
It's
Yawning's not
also
a-
really cold.
Oh my
in here.
gosh, Katie!
Well, it's a round
Yawning's
table.
Hey, it's you next.
Yawning's not a thing of tiredness either. It's just literally oxygen.
Yeah, it's just when you need a bit of... Oh, everyone's done it, except
People
Ed.
said- people
We
said-
will break him.
I'm not going to do it. Are there any notes that you wanted to talk about specifically? Because I know you've got a list.
I have a
Katie?
lot, but I don't know
Katie.
what's more important.
I'm just thinking.
Katie Harrow.
Something in
Katie
relate to
Harrow.
earlier, which
Yeah.
was
15 minutes left.
do you need university to get your work out there? Not at all. You just need the internet.
Well, that's kind of like maybe we should have looked at these before we started, because that's been our topic. But yeah, they're thinking about the same thing.
I feel like this one's gone so quick.
Yeah.
As if there's
Yeah.
15 minutes left.
But there's one here that's like no idea. Do you need university to get your work out there?
Instagram resident.
No idea. My work isn't out there.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just love all this.
Which-
like,
And a picture of a penis on the back with Tory on it. So
We haven't showed any of the drawings
Yes, you did.
this
oh
week.
yeah, we
No.
haven't.
No.
Yesterday I got a bit thingy about some of people's comments on them, but in reality I have to find it funny how like people get dead like
we can do that tomorrow.
get quite angsty on these things, don't they? And they get quite. I find a lot of the comments we get are quite sassy.
Mm.
The way they it's like, no, you don't need it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was
That's
that
dead
just how we're reading?
is- Do you think that is because? Right. Okay. This is going to be a loaded question in the next 15 minutes, but the fact that we as a group are putting our work out there, and we are actively advertising it through Kaggle in front of, let's say, 150 people. That then we
If we're lucky.
get told that the announcements are annoying every week.
I mean, I would.
Someone said
personally
that.
just took that as a joke, Ed.
No, I know, but
Did
like
someone say
there are
that?
these
Ian
things
said
where
it,
it's
but I think he said it as a joke.
Oh,
But I don't
right.
think
But
they are. I
it's
love the
very,
announcement.
no.
It's a
That
sensitive
announcements.
He's a mediator.
Okay,
Ah,
announcements
the fellow,
in general.
The fellow mediators.
Announcements in general are
Oh,
like
yeah.
you kind of go, oh, the ball again, or oh, the art society again, oh, the bunker again.
But I
And then
appreciate
we-
that because I don't.
Yeah, and some people
Yeah.
appreciate it, but some people don't. This
Yeah.
this is the weird thing. Some people are commercial artists, some people are not. So it's kind of like we've got to accommodate for a lot of people. But so the fact that people are getting sassy with us through this, through the kind of
It's great.
Kaggle things, it's great.
Yeah.
But also, these people might not be sassy. They might literally just be annoyed that other people are putting their work out there.
Yeah, I think about. I do
And I
think.
think
Have thought about. You have to be.
So-
You have to be willing to acknowledge that that is a possibility that people are getting spiteful. Of that.
I wouldn't. Yeah,
think
that's
This is a good road.
yeah,
It's-
that's
But
quite,
that's why I said it's a loaded question kind of thing. Like it's a.
yeah.
It's
We
a
can't
nod.
assume that because
Yeah,
that
I
makes
think
us like
it's really easy
we're
when you read something rather than someone saying it to assume it's said with sass. It's like misunderstanding text messages.
Yeah.
You don't get the tone.
which
Because
It
if someone could
happens
just be
to me all
like,
the
no,
time.
it's not about talent, and also there's not much space. People have to write it really briefly.
So
Yeah.
then in
I mean,
disregarding
it's
these.
perfectly possible, but
So-
yeah.
Disregarding these, putting your work out there in front of peers or like outside of university, outside of everything, there is is there this spitefulness between creatives?
No, I think you're vulnerable.
For-
I don't really think spiteful for me. I feel is the right word at all.
Would be jealousy.
No, I think you're vulnerable to criticism from other
Yeah.
people, from your peers, and sometimes
said
actually
something.
criticism from your peers can be harder to take than criticism from like
Anybody else?
someone you really don't know.
yeah, like a tutor. You're like, oh well, that's their position. They're a tutor. Your peers, you're like, oh okay, like it can be a bit harder to swallow, but it actually can be really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I would probably disagree, and well, not disagree. I agree with that. I would
No,
also
no,
say.
you don't have to agree.
I would also, I do agree with you, but I would also say that there is bitterness. There is towards people who make art. Like, I know I've seen artists and I've gone, why are they doing that? And
Yeah.
I feel terrible about like admitting it, but I do it, and I don't sort of.
Like,
I feel like I
I'm not
never.
sure if I understand.
I don't
Yeah,
get
no.
what do you mean. Why
Well,
are they
so
doing
it's
that?
like kind of going, oh, I wish I had done that.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
going to
think
help
you
them
have
out.
that, but it's not like.
I've thought that a few times. Oh, I wish I thought of that. Like that was what I said about Alan giving me that project. It's like, oh, I wish I'd have thought of that. Because it's like, and it's kind of leads back to what Gail's saying, like this idea that we are like we can think of every solution and that there is this independent genius is a total bullshit. But I think,
Oh yeah, what was the quote that we put on?
but it's kind of
Instagram?
like everyone innately is going to have that thing where they think they can.
Damn, I wish I'd had that.
Yeah,
idea,
I wish I could have that. And it's like, and it is quite a personal thing for people to let go of and appreciate the fact that other people have ideas
Yeah.
that you can't, that you wish you would have thought of but never could think of.
Yeah.
And for me, sometimes
But it-
can be a bit of a bitter pill for me to swallow because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, I wish I'd have thought of that. Like,
Yeah.
oh God, it's like. But then you just have to learn to accept the ideas that you do think of are valuable in their own right, rather than thinking.
But-
And it's hard. It's a hard thing to. I think it's probably quite a big lesson to learn because, like, I think it's. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna stop talking.
I think like as well it could just I don't know, I think when you think that, oh I wish I'd thought of that, that just reinforces the value of working with other people.
Hmm. Yeah. People misinterpret. I think people sometimes misinterpret that as like sometimes.
competitiveness.
Yeah.
This is what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, I feel like that is a
Competitiveness.
little bit different to God, I wish I thought of that idea. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah,
being
but it's
competitive
hand in
and
hand, really.
it is hand in hand. But I also think it differs from, oh, well, that's really annoying. Or like,
You can still appreciate something if you wish you'd done it. Like,
yeah.
You appreciate it more because
Yeah.
you're just, oh, that's really good. I wish I'd done it. It's not like,
But there's
oh,
there's
I don't, like that person did it.
So
I'm not.
yeah.
if,
But there is that.
if we're
I
thinking
feel-
And
Well,
I think
okay,
through your
personally, I don't
second year
feel-
shows, you could start seeing bubbles of sort of
so
Have
but
you
then
seen stuff
if
from
we're
your-
if we're thinking like that there's competitiveness, is that because when we think about putting your work out there, and I'm putting quote marks around that, is there a finite space? Is that why it's competitive? Because there's only so much room, and it's not exponential.
So it's where you
Is it-
advertise.
No, I was
Or
like,
like-
as in like, is there only so much room and it's competitive because you have to find a space in
Exponential
that?
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like
Well, like, can it be as big as it
Exponential
needs
is
to
like
be?
this.
It's growth.
Which I
Expansive.
feel like is a
It's not
good-
expansive.
I couldn't, yeah,
So,
but we can't
currently-
see the shape.
Yeah, go on.
Exponential
Explain.
like starts off slowly
Yeah.
and then goes very quick.
So what word am I
So
meaning?
like, it's like an
What?
that curve.
What word do I mean?
Doing the
Can you just show
curve.
that for all the viewers? Viewers,
So
listeners,
I feel like
what?
I feel like that's a good thing thinking about putting your work out there, because it starts off slowly, especially with the internet, and then as soon as we're talking about crowdfunding, more people start sharing it, and then all of a sudden it goes big really quickly. And but it's hard
Like
to get out of
exponential
the
growth.
it's hard to get out of the
The
slow gradient part, the little gradient, until it shoots off.
Yeah.
Off the,
I think what
That
I
was a
was
difficult-
trying to ask was about whether there's like limited space at the quote marks, like there, like out there. Is it
But I think-
competitive because
yeah.
there's only like, say, let's just use space, say there's 100 square meters. Is it competitive because you have to get in that, you have to knock someone else out, or
That's our
the
generation.
space always
Do you
grow?
mean as in getting into an exhibition or something? It's competitive
Well,
because
just like in the art world, I don't know, like
Using
just
the-
generally, like
I feel like
it's-
there's always
'cause
space.
saying it's competitive, but that
There's always
implies
space.
there's only so much space.
There's always space for work to be out there, as in like the internet is always going to be, but there's finite spaces as in exhibition spaces.
Is that not our generation though?
There's something
I
that
think there is, yeah.
it's like there's something I just wrote on one of these things. It's like because there are so many voices demanding to be heard, so that kind of rather than it's like everyone's trying to get their voice out there, so people.
I think it is weird because I personally have seen it. We've put posters up for things and they've been ripped off the wall and they're on the floor. And there is this competitiveness, there's this negativity, but it's also about putting your work out there, and it's kind of.
But
Yeah,
also
it's-
there's
it's
a
got back-
positivity.
we're back to- we're
We've
back
got
to
to think
posters.
there's
So
a
one of these get
positivity,
ripped,
like
one
some
of these
people
got
would,
ripped up
you know,
in
there's
the kind of-
negative.
It's a form of engagement.
Yeah, there's, and also like you have some people who rip them down, but you have some people who like tell everyone they know about it. Like, there's
Yeah,
good
oh
and
yeah,
bad,
yeah,
like,
no, I
I feel like we're
completely
getting a
agree.
bit negative.
No, that's why I thought it was a loaded question for the last 15
Yeah.
minutes, but we just hadn't touched upon that side of stuff. So I was interested to see what that kind of putting your work out there is also.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of pushback
Yeah,
from
It's
it.
vulnerable.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
vulnerable.
It's vulnerable. You can't predict. You're not in control. of
Once you
your
start
reaction.
going open, you become vulnerable into the fact that you're going to get positive and negative feedback constantly.
Yeah, I think that it's quite interesting. I know I got feedback from our talks actually is about our own personal experiences, and I think what we've kind of like done today is we've talked about what we've done, and I don't know it's helping a lot of sort of to understand what Northumbria is, or at least what Newcastle is like to be a student in. And I suppose with tomorrow's talk about local cultures, what Newcastle can offer us
For people
as well
outside
about
of the art
putting,
world
yeah.
as well.
So I think as a sort of wrap up, we can say like tomorrow's is kind of cultures, local culture, and it's kind of with us putting our work out there into a space. What are they giving back? So we've got Georgia Bates, and
Donny Jevons.
Donny Jevons.
Hey.
How you get your voice heard in a
Um,
space where everyone's voice is trying to be
yeah.
heard as well.
So.
I think
The rat race.
unless anyone wants
Anyone got any final comments?
final comments.
So that was the bunker chatting about putting your work out there. Please join us again tomorrow at 1. Thank you and goodbye.
Yeah.